Action back and I'll die away. In short, this is what I have to say. Let us forget fights and grudges and concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. And as we move closer towards 50 years as an independent nation, we need to have our people become more patriotic, more conscious as a Grenadian. And when I speak about being Grenadian, I am also saying to the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, you are a Grenadian. You're a part of the state of Grenada. So I am not going to here say Carriaconians and Petit Martinicans. No, this is not for that type of reasoning and conversation. We want our Grenadian brothers and sisters to become so mature that they reason differently. I was listening to a podcast from Barbados. And in Barbados, they only recently had an island-wide outage, power outage, an island-wide power outage. And when you listen to the reasoning from the Bajans, it is just of a higher level. Don't matter the political side, because they all have their own political leanings. But the level of reasoning and understanding, you get that kind of patriotism coming from the conversation that they're having. They're not blaming the government, they're not crying down the government, because they know that with technology and with an engine, things do happen, things can happen. We had a power outage here in Grenada. Don't forget that, island-wide power outage, and boy, is what our people didn't say. But it speaks to the education, the whole foundation. Remember, Barbados, no matter how many governments that passed through Barbados, you had them prioritizing education, free education from pre-primary all the way up to university. They prioritized that. They wanted to make sure that they're always ahead within the region. Trinidad, a similar thing. Guyana, a similar thing. Jamaica, a similar thing. So when you educate your population, when you give them the required assistance through education, and mind you, if you really calculate the money one has to spend to have that child go from pre-primary, and let's start from daycare, because there are a lot of parents who working. So you put your child in the daycare facility, then they move to the preschool, right? Preschool, and then you go all the way up to primary, then secondary, then college and university. Hundreds of thousands of dollars you're actually investing in your child, because you want your child to become a good citizen. You want your child to become a productive citizen. And there are countries within the region, islands, who actually gave that education free for decades. decades to the citizens of their country free, because they understood very clearly that education is empowerment, and the country itself will benefit in the medium to long term, because you would have doctors, teachers, lawyers, bus drivers. When they speak to tourists or they speak to people, because they're really the first ambassadors, they sell their country well. In Barbados and those places, you have a bus driver with a first degree, a conductor with a college degree. Yeah, you have a farmer with a first degree or a second degree. You have somebody working in the hotel industry, and they have a first degree or a second degree. You have the fisher folks and so on. I'm talking about the kind of investment the country made in their people when it comes to education. So the reasoning is different. And I only use that comparison so you can understand what I am trying to do and what we are trying to achieve. We had a similar situation here in Grenada with an island-wide power outage. In Barbados, they had a similar situation. In fact, recently, recent as what was it, yesterday or day before? Very, very recent. And they handle it differently in terms of the people and their response and how they see it, how they understood this whole situation. It's not that they do it better than Grenada. No, their people are so educated that they don't make an unnecessary hullabaloo over something that can happen. It's possible. So you're driving on the road, you could meet in an accident. An accident can happen, could happen, will happen to somebody sometime, somewhere. So you have to prepare for that. It will, and sometimes we're not even able to prepare for it. But we have to have that understanding that it is possible. It could happen to you, your family members. You know, I heard individual supports the NNP, and the way that guy started to speak, and that's some weeks ago, about Ron, the Honorable Ron Redhead, and that incident that took place in Willis. And you know, the individual is a driver, the gentleman is a driver. And I only learned yesterday that he met in an accident, and the situation is one where he had to go to the family and seek to amend things. So sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for. So the individual, boy, he came down on Ron. Is what he and say. And I said to him, "You're a driver." I said that particular incident could take place with anybody, could have happened with anybody, not just Ron, not just you, not just another person, anybody. I said, be careful what you wish for because you support a particular political party. Only yesterday, I learned that the individual met in an accident. So I am saying our reasoning has to be so mature, so deep that we learn, we grow, we develop, and we can impart that kind of knowledge on other people. Too many a times we cry down our country. Too many a times we wish bad for our country. And the NNP is becoming that type of organization where they cry down things so much, they wish bad so much, they speak hate, and I'm talking about supporters of that party, not the party, but supporters of the party, surrogates, pundits, and the onus is on the leaders of that organization to speak to their supporters and let them know that Grenada belongs to all of us. This is our country. We want good for Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. And not because you're supporting a political party, it means that you're in opposition and you want everything to go bad. You're praying for it to go bad. You can't wait to get some bad news on Grenada to pick up your phone and call the Plead Your Cause program on WFM, or to pick up your phone and call Igwe, Master Cal, and Potames or Panames Panama is Devon Romaine. You can't wait to pick up your phone and call Sheldon Scott, that big old tomcat. Meow. Right? It's just about the negative stuff. You're waiting for that. You have to complain. You have to talk about something bad. A lot of good things are happening in the country, but you care less. You don't want to hear about that. In fact, when you hear about good things, it spoils your day, right? Anytime you hear about good things, it will spoil your day. It will mess you up. Just not, in other words, you don't want to hear anything positive about Grenada. Look, for example, October 19th. Many of these people, they don't even know, they don't have a clue as to what this day represents for people. They don't. But they quick to bum their gum and why the day should be a holiday and they shouldn't make it a holiday. It's amazing. But hear this. Some of the same people are calling for the day to be a holiday. But because the NDC in power and it's the NDC who did it, they have a problem with that. Yeah, they were calling for that day to be made a public holiday where they can remember those who lost their lives on that day. And any holiday, you have the NNP people saying, well, it's a holiday and people go have a liquor show, they go have a liquor party, they go have any holiday. You will have events and activities. So what you want the government to do is to ban everything? No, they can't. We're living in a free society. The government made that day a public holiday. It's a day for you to do what you want to do. Reflect. Some people go there and picnic. They would do stuff. We are living in a democratic society. We are living in a free society. So I am saying, quit the complaining, the grinding and the groaning. Stop that. Appreciate the day. It's a day. If you don't want to see it as a holiday, go to work. Yeah, pack your bag and go to work and work like normal. It's what it is. There were some folks who were complaining about the pension and gratuity. And I said to them, well, don't take it. Don't take it. Yeah, the NMP supporters don't take it. But they were the first to go and take it. So you're complaining about the day? I am saying to you, go to work like normal on October the 19th. Right? Pack your bag if you're a teacher. Go into school as though you have school. If you're a nurse and on that day, maybe you have a day off, still go to work. Right? If you're a secretary in the ministerial complex, even if it's closed, no one is there, you go, pack your bag and go to work like normal. Yeah, go in there and see. It's just the thinking, the reasoning is so poor. It's amazing. But that is what the NNP has become, a complaining organization. The obstructionist team, they don't want to see anything good for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, in my belief. They have become just opposition. Yes, you're called the opposition party, but it is not for you to oppose. You could be productive too. You could be constructive too. You could be instrumental in shaping the developmental agenda of the country. You can give good recommendations too. You can commend government where they're doing well. It's just negative, negative, negative. Criticize, criticize, criticize. But what I love is the fact that Grenadians are seeing the NNP for what it is. And they're seeing the supporters of the NNP for who they are. And that is good, because before it was not so. They would say all kind of stuff and they would get away with it. But now, as we start to highlight the positive things in the country, as we start to become more and more patriotic, and our reasoning is maturing, so to speak. We're more mature when we reason, when we talk about things, because it's Grenada first, it's country first and party after. And I encourage you to instill that in your supporters. It is about the country first and foremost, and then your party. You have a right to support your party, your political party. Nothing is wrong with that. But when something is good, say it is good. When something is good, commend it, applaud it. It could be a demotivating factor when your child, for example, does something good and you fail to applaud her or commend her or award her or acknowledge it, right? But the minute time that child does something that is not in keeping with X, Y, and Z, you cry her down, you beat her, you is what you insane. But when that child outperforms, you don't acknowledge it. It could be a demotivating factor. I'm telling you. So we have to reach to that place where we acknowledge the good things. And it's a mindset. Huh? It will take some time because we have grown accustomed to only knowing the negative, talk about only the negative things. That is what we have grown accustomed to. So it will take some time to graduate out of that mindset and acknowledge the good things that are happening. I was telling a friend only recently, I have grown, I have matured enough to harness the good qualities in people. I am no longer looking at that person as being bad, but instead, I can tell you that that particular person has some good qualities in them. And that is what I am interested in. There are friends who hang around me, and people would say all manner of things about them. But if I ask that particular person to go in OEO and get something for me or do something for me, they will go. If I say to that person, I have some work doing, self-help, clean, cook, whatever, they will do it. So you have to start to harness the good qualities in people. Yes, we all may fall short. We all may have certain ways that is not what people would want or would like to be around. The kind of attitudes and different attributes and so on. We understand that. But let us start harnessing, appreciating the good part. It's just like you getting a fruit, right? And or let's say pawpaw. For pawpaw to really start turning and so on, you would see little bobo, as they would say it, at certain part, right? Certain locations in that papaya, right? I'm saying, do you just take the papaya or papaya, as we would say, just take it and throw it, and you say it's spoiled? No, no. What you do, you cut that out, you remove that part, and you use the good part, right? Because many times it's just the outer surface that looks like that, just the skin of the fruit. You see, it's a similar thing in people. It's a similar thing in governance. Let us look at the good things that are happening. Let us applaud that. Let us talk about it. Let us showcase that. It can be a motivating factor for others to do good and to become more patriotic. That is what we strive for as a people. But it will take some time. It's a mindset. It's a shift in our reasoning. And that is why I applaud our beloved Prime Minister, because his thinking is just different. Before you would have a government and all they're accustomed to, all they would do is the same old, same old. You go to school, you complete school, and you out on the street or you're home or you try to get a little walk. That is how it was always like that. But now our government is thinking differently. Or you go in the Imani training program, they place you somewhere and you remain there for a long, long time, much years. You ain't learn a skill, you ain't learn nothing, right? This government is thinking differently. They want you to grow, they want you to develop, they want you to be able to become more independent. And that's the attitude that we need outside here. So let me just play a little piece of our beloved Prime Minister when he was on beyond the headlines.
Get into TAMSI or you don't get into NULO, what becomes of you? You're not an adult yet, and you get into TAMSI or you don't get into NULO. What becomes of you? You're not an adult yet, and you probably have, certainly from a skills perspective, little or no significant exposure to skills training. You may have some technical subjects, as the case may be, but hands-on practical examples, you probably lack that. What you would have with Imani is what I would call ad hoc short-term programs, oftentimes conducted in a very informal manner with no direct link to ensuring that you actually are deployed into the employment space. What we are seeking to do, one, is to ensure that the school leaving age goes to 18, which is the age that is tied with adulthood. It is not fair to our young people to cast them out and be told to go swim or sink, as the case may be, and they're not even an adult as yet, without giving them the full opportunity to become adults. And so that 2-year period gives us the ability, in fact, to significantly enhance their employability, to make them more...
Pardon the interruption. Have we gone to Parliament with this adjustment?
No, we intend to do so. I think it's important for us to announce the policy and then obviously have the conversations and then back that legislatively. So the Education Act has to be amended to reflect that. But to me, it makes obvious sense, and I'm sure if the minister hasn't told you as yet, that he will certainly indicate that in countries that are renowned for their skills-based education system, that in fact the school leaving age is also 18, right? So it is not by perchance that we are doing this. It's clear, it's logical, and it makes a lot of sense, because it is not fair, as I said, to young people to have them in a situation where you've half educated them, they're not even an adult as yet, and then what happens to them? There has to be that continuous process of educating you up to the point where at least legally you recognize as an adult. So we don't expect this spending for and I'm using the word in inverted commas, Imani program to drop. What we expect is that the budget will be kept and that the money will be used more effectively to ensure that we put our young people in a better position to actually be able to control their future. And I'm going to use this example because a Grenadian doctor who's in Cuba right now said this to me. He said, we got scholarships from Cuba for engineering, for doctors, that is actually underutilized. The government supports students by a small contribution, about 125 US per month, which is basically what 1,500 US perhaps per year, US, 4,000 EC per year. If you look at the funding that is channeled to the Imani program on any given time, sometimes people are paid $600, $700, $800, $900, maybe even $1,000 per month. That's 12,000 per year, compared with 4,000 per year in Cuba. But what do they get at the end of that year? And what does a student get when he comes out of Cuba? He becomes a doctor, he becomes an engineer, or any number of things. University graduate, bilingual, with international experience, with having learned what it is to leave one island and make it in another place and be able to come back to be able to build your country. The cost of that to us is $4,000. The cost of the Imani program for 1 year for someone is $12,000. But what do they get at the end of that 1 year? In 1 year, it's 3 times the cost of supporting our students in Cuba. But what are you getting at the end of the 1 year? What are you getting at the second year, the third year? You're not getting an engineer. You're not getting a medical doctor. You're not getting a biolab tech. You're not getting a qualified nurse. I can go on and on. You're not getting a marine electrician. All of the things that we need, that we have significant shortages, air conditioning, refrigeration technicians and all of that. People who are certified and trained in that kind of environment. We're not getting that. So what you have is really a program that is ineffective in terms of creating the kind of skill set, the kind of certification that we need to ensure that person become employable, that they can problem solve and create their own businesses. So for us, it's really ensuring that we refashion the existing funds in a manner that actually solves some of the challenges that we face and really gives young people the opportunity to empower themselves and feel empowered.
And that's the thinking, huh? That's the plan. And that is where we must head. I say every single day. You have young people completing secondary school. Some will go on to TAMCC or NULO. And may I add, more will do that now because their parents do not have to find the $810 tuition to send them to NULO or to TAMCC, right? Well, NULO is $750. But I think they're putting the $810 across the board. Everybody gets $810, right? A standard amount. So more will go now because of that, the free tuition for Nulo and Tamsisi. But we have a lot who will complete secondary school and have nothing to do. But if they were able to stay on and become an electrician and become a mason and become a carpenter and become a joiner and become something besides the biology, besides the chemistry, besides the physics, besides all the academic areas or subjects, that would be a plus for them. In fact, they could fix the pipe at home instead of their parents paying to come and fix it. They could do the electrical work at home instead of their parents have to pay somebody to come and do it. They could fix the chair. They could do stuff. They can create their own little business, right? Come on. If they can learn to repair phones, if they can learn to repair refrigerators and AC units and so on, that is the kind of thinking, that is the kind of direction that we must go. So you have a team of men and women who are forward thinking, who are visionaries in this country, and we need to appreciate that, because if NNP was in power, we would get the same old recycled ideas, the same old stupidness. We're in a different epoch, a different time, where these young men and women are rolling out new initiatives, visionary plans and programs and so on to transform Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. It is just different, totally different. Look at how they're thinking. They're saying, hey, we need to invest more in our young people to make them more productive as a citizen. And we should not see carpentry or masonry or plumbing or electrical engineering or farming as, second to somebody pursuing some law degree or somebody becoming a nurse or a doctor or a teacher or so. We should not see it as second. They should all be held high equally. They should all be on the same page, because think about it. You could be what you want to be. You would need those different professions, those different experts to do things for you. You want to build a home, you would need carpenters, masons, plumbers, just name it. You want to, you may have a nice vehicle, but you would need the mechanic one day, right? So if we train our people to become mechanics using the technology and so on, that's the way to go. And that is how NDC is thinking. And that is how they're doing stuff. That is what their plan entail. The whole blueprint to move this country forward. The master plan speaks to that. Empowering our people, educating our people. And they have actually identified where the problems lie. They actually identify that where we have the real problem. Because our young people are going through pre-primary, primary, and secondary school, and maybe college, and then they go look for a work, right? And if they can't get an office job, then they remain home. But if they could do, if they're good at masonry, carpentry, plumbing, electrical engineering, repairing stuff, stove, fridges, just name it, they can find something to do in the meanwhile. It may not be what they want to be in the future, but in the meanwhile, they can get something to do. They can utilize their skill set. And I think that is what the NDC is talking about, looking at how do we help the young people to survive in this ever competitive environment, work environment. Because as the age for retirement increases, you would have scarcity of certain jobs, right? Known positions within government and the private sector. Because there are people in the private sector who work in up to 65. There are certain companies, you retire at 65. You would get the NIS at 60, but the company itself, they give you the chance, the opportunity to work all the way up to 65. The government is moving in that direction, matriculatively over a period of time. So you'd have more people hanging on for an extra 5 years in short order. As a result, you expecting to go into the workforce and maybe serve as or work as a secretary, a receptionist, some officer in this area, officer in that area, somebody within there, even a nurse or a doctor, whatever, right? I'm saying it would not be that easy, right? Because there wouldn't be any vacancy there. You would have people at 64 and 63, 62 working still. So we have to train our people to be multifaceted, multi-skilled. They have to have something extra. They have to be able to not just read and write, or they understand physics, chemistry, and biology. They have to be able to know the other stuff, how to lay blocks, right? How to do some cupboards or cabinets or whatever, or closets or whatever you want to call it. They have to know more. They have to have an extra thing going for them. And that would really help this country. And it will help them personally. I know of two or three brothers. I think there are three of them. One became a doctor. The other one became something close to doctor, either teacher, doctor, something like that, or a lecturer in a university. And then the last one became an engineer, a builder, right? So he knows masonry, carpentry, and all that kind of stuff. He knows that kind of stuff, right? And in that conversation, they were actually saying the one that became the doctor, okay, working for a good salary. The one that became the lecturer, teacher, whatever, working for a good salary. But the one that actually building homes and so on is far richer financially than them. Yep, I'm telling you. And it's kind of common sense. That builder gets a project to do for a doctor or for a lecturer or a nurse to build a home. And the profit from that might be $100,000 after they complete the project within a 3-month period or a 6-month period or maybe a year. $150,000 profit. But that, and mind you, that builder is still getting a salary every month. But the profit from the job is what I'm talking about. So the doctor, we know what the doctor's salary is. It's fixed. We know what it is. And even if he has private practice, we kind of know too, right? The lecturer, we kind of know what the salary is. But we are talking about a person in that field who building homes, making that kind of money in a short space of time, right? I remember having a conversation with a person who was a PS, public servant, permanent secretary, PS, and he told me he left because government, a particular government, did something wrong to him, and he was given early retirement, right? Early retirement as PS. And he took his money, gratuity and everything, and he invested in lands, planting and, harvesting and selling stuff and so on. And he said to me, that was the best thing he did in his life. He said when he plant a wash, you know how they normally say things, a wash of cabbage, a wash of tomatoes, a wash of cucumber, a wash of sweet corn, a wash of what do you call that? Not watermelon, well, watermelon and cantaloupe and so on. He would make a lot of money. But yes, he has to put in a lot to make it. But he said that's the best thing that happened to him. He was able to send his children to school, in university. They graduated. They're this, they're that now, right? He was able to own 2 to 3 vehicles. He was able to invest in other things. So I'm saying we cannot watch these professions or work or jobs as though it's dirty, it's no good. We have to tell our people that they can become millionaires as a contractor, right? As a builder, as an engineer, as a QS, as a agronomist, as a farmer. You can become that as a agro processor, as a don't see it as dirty work, right? As a joiner and so on. You could become something. And I think that is what NDC is trying to get to our people with, the mindset to say, do not see it as a dirty job and you can't find your way. I remember encountering a multimillionaire, right? Multimillionaire. He has money to pave the streets in Grenada. And when you watch how that guy how he dresses, right? His dress code and everything. His vehicle. When you watch how he lives, yes, he has a nice, decent house, right? Clean and, have people working there and so on, doing stuff. But when he comes out and you look at how simple he is, his shoes, his clothes, yes, clean and so on, but very, very simple. You can never tell that he is a millionaire, a multi-millionaire. And then you look at other people who maybe they're accountant, maybe they're a lawyer, maybe they're a doctor, maybe they're a teacher, maybe they're some public officer. And you think for a moment that they're working for $1 million and they have a lot of money. They're heavily indebted. They're in debt left, right, and center. But the way they dress, you believe that they have it all. I'm telling you. So don't look down on a person because they're in agriculture, they're a farmer, right? Don't look down on a person because they're a mason or a carpenter or they're a mechanic. Don't look down on them or a fisherman. No, they might be earning way more. I know of a good friend who has 2 trawlers, and you say to yourself, well, he's nothing, but he has 2 trawlers, and when they bring in the fish, the money that he gets is 30 times the amount that you will work for in a year. I'm telling you, when they bring in the fish, sometimes they make $70,000-$80,000. One lash, the boat gets half, and the boat belongs to him. It gets half. Half of the share is the boat for maintenance or other little things. And then when they take out all the gas and whatever the expense, then the rest will share equally between the owner and the folks on the boat, right? The people who work in, the fishermen on the boat. So sometimes the fisherman will go off with $10,000 or $8,000 for 1 week work out there. I mean, it's tough. It's not easy. But I'm saying the owner of that boat, you watch him and say, well, but yeah, nothing. Yeah, but the kind of money that they're raking in, it's amazing. So don't look down on people because of certain things. And that is what I think the NDC is trying to introduce and also change that mindset that because you're a mechanic, that work is not graded as the others, or because you're a farmer or a mason or a carpenter, so that kind of thing, or a builder or a contractor, whatever. What they want to say to you is that you can become something from your profession, from that profession. It is not only about biology, chemistry, physics, and so on. It's more to that. So our people need to embrace that kind of shift because it is a good shift for our country. And I think it's a really, really, really good move. Because, we are so accustomed to seeing our young people going into the Imani training program and remaining there for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And you ask them, but what training you got? What certificates do you have? Where were you trained? And, they went on a job. And it's like normal. They come out there with nothing. For all these years, getting a stipend of $800 and $900 or whatever. Now you have an opportunity to go to TAMCC because it's more or less free, right? You have to pay very little and get an associate's degree. You can go on to university and get a first degree in whatever field. And that is what you want, upward mobility. That is what the NDC is trying to achieve. And we have to work with them so that that can be achieved. It could be done. We have it in us. And that is why I appreciate this young team of men and women, I see the future. I mean, yes, I'm not a fortune teller, I'm not a seer man, but I can, based on what is happening, I can actually imagine, I think that's the right word here, I could imagine what the future will look like for Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique down the road. A friend was saying to me, he feels that, this team should have been there long before, and Grenada could have advanced and developed way faster. That's what the friend was saying. It's like they grew up in a particular time and they miss what's happening now. Then, like the NNP been there for 20-something years. It should have been the NDC with this young team of men and women, right? Grenada would have been totally transformed because they're thinking outside of the box. And they're not about just talking, but they're walking the walk and getting the job done. And I think that is what you want. I remember a good friend calling this program and say, you see that free education, this free tuition, support and so on? She said she never got the opportunity to go to college because her parents couldn't afford. She said she regret that didn't happen during her time. She regret that she's not able to take advantage of that, and she's encouraging the young people to take advantage of that. I remember she called on the program, right? She said, this is a blessing. Take advantage of it. A good education because her parents couldn't afford to send her to college, right? It was tough. Secondary school was tough. Just couldn't. She was bright, but the money was not there. The time that we are in now, getting all this opportunity, we have to really give thanks. We have to give thanks because there are a lot of people who didn't get that opportunity. They wanted it, but they couldn't get the opportunity because their parents couldn't afford. Now you have a government who's actually helping you to access that type of education, to get to college, to go to college and so on, and university and so on. We have to be really, really grateful for that. Really, really grateful. And that is what you want. You want your people to move to the next level. It's not just being able to read and write, but when you read a paragraph and I ask you what you get from that, what you understand from that, you should be able to analyze it and tell me what you get from it, what you understand after reading that paragraph. And that is where we want our people to be, to reason, to understand things, and to reason in such a way that others can learn from you. There are too many people just rah, 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 rah. Let's take out the noise and let's focus on substance over hype, because Grenada belongs to all of us. We want good for this country. I want Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique to be the envy of the Caribbean. But folks, we have to pull the curtain down. I want to wish you all the best. I will be back with you on Friday, not Friday, sorry. Today's Friday. On Sunday, God's willing, from 1 to 2. Again, to go on that journey, we need to keep it going. We can't stop, because remember, the NNP not going to go to sleep and allow the NDC to peacefully govern and bring prosperity and betterment to you. So you need programs like these around to educate, empower, disseminate correct information so our people can move to the next level.